Very good morning to everyone here. First, a quick vote of thanks to all the organizers, especially Dr. Meena Kumari, who invited us here today, and all the student organizers, Hiba, Asher, they all done a great job. Thank you. So, I'm Dr. Bhavya Fernandez. I'm a research officer at State Health System Resource Center. A little bit more about our organization, Dr. Jitesh will be talking about during his presentation. We are also joined by a few of our colleagues, Dr. Manju, Dr. Shruti are here today with us. So how we structure this session today is, I'll first be talking about some of the barriers that transgender people face when they go to a healthcare institute. And Shakya will add in with his lived and shared experiences. Following which, Dr. Jitesh will talk about what the health system is currently doing to overcome these barriers. So the findings I'm presenting today are from a research study which I conducted around 1.5 years back. It was a mixed method study. There was a quantitative survey with 120 transgender people involved, and qualitative interviews were also done with around 13 trans men and trans women. So the 120 people that we interviewed, the mean age was around 33 years old. Most of them lived in urban areas and most of them were trans women. 60% of them had an education level of high school level or below, which is a very striking finding in a state like Kerala. And this is what we refer to as social determinants of health, like the conditions in which you are born and grow up in. Because many of our respondents actually shared that one reason that they had to drop out of school is because of the discrimination they faced even from those ages. Not just from students, also from the people who are supposed to be giving them that safe environment, like teachers and school authorities. 66%, that is, most of them were either unemployed or only had some sort of occasional employment. So the barriers that we found from the study were classified into two, as you can see in the figure, those within the healthcare system and those outside the healthcare system. We'll start with the barriers within the healthcare system, the first one being the infrastructural barriers. So 39% of the respondents reported that the toilet facilities were inadequate. There were no gender neutral toilets, and this was more of a problem in trans men than trans women. A smaller percentage, around 17%, reported that they were not comfortable with the forms that were present. It's changing now. In many institutes, forms there's a third option other than male and female being added, but still people are asked very inappropriate questions like, have you completed the surgery, before they tick the third option. There are, like Jayshree ma'am mentioned right now, there are some clinics which have been established for transgender people in a few government hospitals, but there were many shortfalls at these clinics. The functioning was very sporadic. There was only happening maybe once or twice a week. There was no accessible information regarding this functioning. Even if someone were to call up the hospital, some of the receptionists also were not aware that such a clinic was functioning in the hospital. And also some of the staff who were posted at these clinics were not very transgender friendly, and some were outright transphobic. So the next barrier was barriers due to personnel. One was 80% of respondents reported a lack of adequately informed healthcare providers, and 55% said that they did not come across anyone who was transgender friendly. 42% reported that they had faced some form of discrimination in the past 1 year. And this discrimination, it exhibited as many forms. It could either be rushed consultations or outright refusal of treatment as well. Only 26% had a regular doctor, and this was difficult for some of the community members because, for one, they have to open up every time to a new person about their gender identity. Second, many are involved in occupations such as sex work, and it's again difficult to talk about these kind of things to a different person every time. As Neha also mentioned before, the looks and the comments from the other patients, the cisgender patients, was also a source of anxiety for many of the transgender people. The next barriers was barriers due to quality of care. One was there's a lack of protocol. Like Jayshree ma'am just mentioned, they don't know where to admit, which ward to admit the patient in. And also the WPATH, the World Professional Association for Transgender Health, the guidelines are hardly followed. Mental health issue, like how Neha mentioned, is a huge problem in the community. Government health services, they're crowded, so the patients don't get sufficient time to communicate with the doctors. Private is way too expensive for most people to afford. So mental health care is lacking in the community. Post-operative complications, again, is a huge issue. For one, people are not given realistic expectations about the outcomes of surgeries and hormone therapy. And also, SRS and HRT are available only in very limited centers across Kerala. So those were the barriers within the healthcare system. Now coming to the barriers outside the healthcare system. The main one is, as expected, financial issues. Most of the respondents actually use government health centers because of finance-related issues. 84% did not have any sort of active health insurance policies. And the Social Justice Department does provide reimbursement for SRS. However, this is only given post the surgery. So the initial amount they have to pay from their own pockets. So I've come across a case where a well-educated trans woman, she was working in the IT sector, but just to cough up that it can cost around 3 to 5 lakhs depending on the surgery. So to get that initial amount, she actually entered into sex work, not because she wanted to, because she had to. Geographical barriers, like we mentioned before, it's only available in very limited hospitals. And some patients, respondents reported a fear of side effects of modern medicine, so they preferred to use traditional medicine or natural remedies. There was also an anger or mistrust to the health system, and even though this is added in barriers outside the health system, it's actually intricately connected to the health system as well, because it could, this internalized stigma that they have, it could be because of either their own past experiences or the experiences of people around them. So after all these barriers, I wanted to end on a slightly more positive note. The good part was that many people did respond to having positive experiences with healthcare workers as well. And the Kerala health system is already involved in a lot of initiatives, which Dr. Jitesh will be talking about more. And I now call upon Shakya to talk about his view regarding these.